Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of September 1st, 2024. There is still time to join today's Virgo New Moon workshop at noon Pacific time. If you can't make it live, you'll get the recording. We will dive into this new moon cycle and some of the key transits coming up, as well as what it means for you based on your sun and rising sign. And I will do as many hot take natal chart readings as I can. You can sign up in the link in the show notes or go to astrologybyceleste.com. One of the biggest stories of the last week was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. dropped out of the presidential race, or I should say he suspended his candidacy in some key swing states and endorsed Donald Trump. Now, I had predicted that he was going to align himself with Trump on Threads and Instagram probably a month ago. He was impacted by the Jupiter-Saturn square specifically. They both happened at 17 degrees of their respective signs. And Robert Kennedy has Jupiter at 17 degrees of Gemini. So he was having a Jupiter return, and Saturn in Pisces was squaring his Jupiter. And they are opposite principles. Jupiter expands, Saturn contracts. Jupiter's success, Saturn's failure or earned success that comes after hard work. Jupiter can be success that just comes from luck. So his goal to succeed in the elections, he had run into a lot of issues in court cases where he was blocked. I don't know all the details. You can Google it if you want to learn more, but this is one of the things he said. He talked about the media blackout, very difficult in the US for third-party candidates to get on the major news networks. And he talked about that as well as the court cases. Those were some of the reasons why he was suspending his candidacy and he's aligning himself with Donald Trump. I don't know what the reasons for that are, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, we see that this square was very much impacting him. He realized, he came to the awareness that I am not going to be able to succeed. There are too many Saturnian boundaries and tests and restrictions. And right before Mars in Gemini, Mars rules competition, square Venus in Virgo, and actually I should have said Venus in Virgo, square Mars in Gemini. He said, I'm going to align myself, ally Venus with Donald Trump for this competition. The theme of this week is Fantasy Island, and there are three big things I want you to think about as we navigate this week. Today, we have two big transits happening. Uranus, the planet of shocks and awe, sudden events. It rules elections, abortion, sudden breaks, is stationing to go retrograde at 27 degrees of Taurus. And this is an important degree because it's conjunct the fixed star Algol, which I talk a lot about. That's at 26 Taurus, and that fixed star has an intensity. It's associated with the Lilith archetype, the Medusa archetype, and also with catastrophes throughout the centuries. When it's activated, there have been big issues. And when a planet stations, it's like a branding iron. I forget the name of the astrologer who called it that, but it really grinds its energy into that point. So if you have anything around 27 Taurus, there may be a story for you. One of the best things that Uranus does, I feel, is awakens us to things. So you may be awaken to something around Taurus topics, which could be your health or your finances. Like you may be awakened to, ooh, I really need to save more money, or ooh, I don't need to be so frugal, or ooh, that hip pain keeps bothering me. I really should schedule an appointment with the doctor. So these are some of the things it can do. It also liberates us. So there may be stories where there are sudden romantic relationship breakups for several reasons. And Pluto on the same day re-enters the sign of Capricorn at 29 degrees. It's retrograde, so it's backing into 29 degrees. And that's a degree of decay and crisis. Capricorn rules tradition, governments, big business, things like that. Pluto unearths things in order to be exposed. So there may be a story in the news. I'll really be interested to see what is the New York Times headline on either this day or Monday that relates to these two topics. So corruption, financial corruption could be a big story. The USA is wrapping up its Pluto return in the second house of our values and our resources. So there may be a financial story. Deception may be revealed. One of the things I'm interested to see, hopefully not, in Iceland, volcanoes have been going off since December. And back in 2010, there was a volcano eruption that caused a lot of flights to be canceled or diverted because they were concerned that all the ash in the air would be problematic. And I remember I was back in corporate then, and we had a meeting, all these people coming in from the Netherlands whose flights were canceled, and they couldn't come to the meeting. And it lasted over a week. Anyway, this could be something where volcanic activity causes, because Uranus rules aviation. Retrogrades can be indicative of delays, the collapse of anything contemplated, and things like that. So I'm a little concerned because I was supposed to be flying back from England on Monday. So we'll see if that is something that interrupts flight patterns. But there's been a lot of interruption of flight patterns in the Middle East because of the conflict going on there that has been escalating and escalating with Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran and all of that. So there could be a story about that on this day. Yes. And there could be a revolution that pops out of nowhere. Uranus is the planet of revolts and revolutions, or strikes as well. There could be some kind of technology outage, like some site goes down or something that affects businesses, or that someone gets caught, if somebody at a company pushes the wrong button, and then ransomware, they're trying to steal money from a company. So these are some of the things that may come up of the nature of Uranus retrograde and Pluto going back into the sign of Capricorn. So if you have anything around 27 or 29 degrees, just be aware there may be a story in your life. And I love the way Pluto brings up our shadows and reveals to us things that we maybe would rather deny about ourselves. Like sometimes we can be, who knows, petty or gossipy or lazy or selfish or whatever it is. Brings things like that to our attention for us to recognize and decide if we want to do anything about it or not. Yeah. And what could happen could be like somebody says something to you that surprises you about yourself, and it causes like a little mini eruption and within you, because Uranus is the planet that rules earthquakes. So let's hope there's none of that either. The Birthdate Company makes amazing products, and I am a proud affiliate. I especially love the Birthdate book. It's a fully personalized, beautiful, and unique reading of your birth chart with over 70 pages of detailed horoscope analysis. It is such high quality. I absolutely love it. They also make amazing birth date candles. You can get it for yourself or as a gift for someone else. So check out the store and use my coupon code Celeste10 for a 10% discount. Go to bit.ly/3PW3NFM. You can find that in the link in the show notes. Enjoy. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that we have a new moon at 11 degrees of Virgo on Monday. Virgo's work is to bring order to chaos. It rules health matters. It's a sign that is about accountability. It's a great new moon to set intentions to get organized, declutter, and maybe like really take a look at your cabinets and maybe throw out expired food or decide you're going to clean up your diet or things like that. The sun and the moon are both at 11 degrees of Virgo, and that is the 9 of Pentacles in the tarot deck. That's the independent lady card who has she's worked hard, she's got her resources together, and she can enjoy the fruits of her labor. And what's really interesting is that the Sabian symbol is a bride and her veil snatched away. So I get from that, like there could be some big breakup, like maybe a celebrity breakup in the news. Also, the Democratic National Convention was very successful for Kamala Harris, and she did very well in her speech, but the honeymoon period, something's coming that the honeymoon, and it may have already happened. I record this early, where the honeymoon period is coming to an end. She's going to have to do a bunch of interviews with the press, I assume. Plus, the debate is coming up between her and Donald Trump, although he's talking like he might back out. We'll see what happens. Linda Hill talks about how this is like breaking down walls is one of the symbologies she sees of this Sabian symbol. She wrote a book all about them. So it'll be interesting to see how a bride and her veil snatched away shows up. Somebody is unmasked. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that Mars will enter the sign of Cancer on Wednesday, September 4th through November 3rd. Mars is the planet of action, drive, and assertion. It rules conflict. Cancer is the sign of its fall, where it can act in extreme and ineffective ways to get what it wants. Be mindful. It takes a couple of days to adjust to new energy. And what can happen when Mars is reporting into the moon, because the moon rules Cancer, is that people can have more emotionally charged responses. Cancer rules home, family, and foundation. So there can be an increases in conflict among family members. I had predicted on Instagram and Threads that, we know that foreign governments have been trying to interfere in the election. In 2016, it was Russia. Now, Iran has stolen a bunch of emails from the Trump campaign. And there are these troll farms all over the world. And I think there is, and I've seen some things that got my spidey senses activated about, like, racial issues are the United States kryptonite. And they're trying to gin up some kind of like racial division within the country over some story that like spirals out of control. And there is a real risk during this transit, and we're in election season, of some story catching fire that is just being accelerated by these foreign adversaries because they may be favoring Donald Trump with this for the election. So I wrote, do not get on the troll bus. I highly recommend a Montgomery bus boycott of social media fights over the next month for sure. And I would just recommend through the election, don't feed the trolls. When you wrestle with a pig, you both get dirty and the pig likes it. Now, this is also a great time to follow the moon and notice the energetic shifts and action taking of yourself and those around you. If you have little kids, especially like toddlers, this would be a great opportunity to see how like Mars and Cancer and how their behavior is changing as the moon changes signs in relationship to their chart if you follow it. But it's just a good time to be mindful that watching your emotional reactivity. On Sunday, the word of the day is HURL. We start the week with the moon in Leo. Leo is a fire sign. There could be something dramatic in regards to Leonic figures. This is the day that Uranus stations retrograde at 27 Taurus and Pluto backs up into 29 Capricorn. With Uranus retrograde, just be mindful. This is not a great day to get into some kind of explosive argument with anyone, frankly, because it could get really out of hand. Also, this could be like trip and fall. So slow down as you move through this day. And, a couple of days after, rubbing your feet in the grass to discharge excess energy is a good thing to do. Anything you can do to ground yourself, you may notice you feel like a little extra hum or buzz of the energy with this. It can be overstimulating of the nervous system. So do whatever you can to relax yourself. The moon will enter Virgo at 8:48 p.m. Now, it's called HURL because Virgo rules the intestines. And I just got an image of people going on a roller coaster ride with a full stomach. So there's something like you may see some story that, is upsetting to your stomach. On Monday, the word of the day is fidelity. Mercury in Leo is trine Chiron and Aries, both at 22 degrees. This can be as well. So this is active as Uranus goes retrograde. And Mercury can destabilize and argue, and trines are smooth, easy flows of energy. I think this is a great opportunity to speak in ways, because Chiron's the wounded healer. It can wound, it can heal, or it can do both at the same time. So speak in ways that are intending to yourself and others to bring some positive healing, maybe by leading by example of something you went through yourself. You could be very motivational with this energy, or you could just get into conflict either way, because the moon's in Virgo, and shadows of Virgo can be being perfectionist and critical. So just be mindful, especially when Mercury and Leo has associations with children. Be mindful of how you're speaking to your children on this day. It's the day of the new moon at 11 Virgo at 6:55 p.m. Pacific time. New moons open up a 27-month cycle where every 9 months, the moon will be in approximately the same position in your chart, activating your chart. And there can be a longer term story. And if you use the moons for intention setting, you can mark okay, 9 months from now, this is where I want to be. So the first quarter moon of this cycle, where there may be some kind of course correction for whatever is initiated now, with the sun in Gemini and the moon in Virgo at 12 degrees. That's going to be on June 2nd, 2025. The full moon of this cycle is a lunar eclipse where all is illuminated. The sun in Pisces, the moon in Virgo, that'll be March 3rd, 2026. The last quarter moon of this cycle, where the sun in Sagittarius and the moon in Virgo, will be November 30th, 2026 at 9 degrees, the respective signs. So if you set out some really big long range health intentions, these can be dates where you check in with yourself, or you put a pin in it to say, this is where I want to be at this date. This is where I want to be at that date. So keep these in mind. On this day, Mars in Gemini squares Neptune in Pisces. They're both at almost 29 degrees, 28 degrees and 59 minutes. So essentially 29 degrees, that degree of crisis and decay. Mars square Neptune can be about when people are ready to go to war. Mars, with their words, Gemini, like for belief system reasons, Neptune and Pisces. This is the holy war energy. This also can be about like fighting about nothing with your sibling. Gemini rules siblings, or you start this argument and 5 minutes later you have no idea why you even started getting into this with someone. Yeah. Now, it could also be very careful about online deception unless you want to spend the Virgo new moon cycle cleaning it up, because Mars square Neptune can be like a weapon. Mars is disguised, like the Trojan horse. The Trojan horse from the Trojan War, where it looked like a gift, but it was actually all the soldiers were inside of it. So keep that in mind, especially online. They are so sophisticated with some of these psychological operations that they're doing. And I'm concerned this could be like a story that just takes flight and just gets insane, where by the full moon lunar eclipse on September 17th, that's, it's headline news, and that Americans are fighting amongst each other. Now, this could also be somebody realizes their partner has been unfaithful, and they confront them and they're like, ooh, baby, don't you know I would never do this and that and the other thing? But don't fall for the okie doke if your gut tells you something. This could also be someone becomes aware that they've been cheated on because oh my God, I have an STD kind of thing. Because when the inner planets meet the outer planets, their energy comes together. So with Neptune's the fog, the mist, the illusions and delusions. And so when Mars squares it, the illusion is over and you see something for what it really is. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching, where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Tuesday, the word of the day is unpopular. Venus and the South Node meet at 6 degrees of Libra. The South Node is a drain. Venus rules love, relationships, peace, harmony, balance. So the South Node sends things down the drain. So yeah, this is this kind of like breakup energy or difficulty in relationships, or it's talking about Libra's an air sign, things from the past. This could be someone asks you out for a date and you say yes, even though you wanted to say no. So you agree to unite with someone, Venus unites, but you didn't really want to, so it sends you down the drain. Now you're behind on the things you really need to do or that you really wanted to do, or you end up spending an evening with someone who, just goes on, talks about themselves, you're bored to death, what have you. Now with the South Node, you can give selflessly of yourself. Maybe someone who's going through a hard time just needs a friend, and you can get together with them. With the South Node, I wonder if deception in the world of art or culture or music, Neptunian type of fields, is revealed because of that Mars square Neptune. I wrote down museum heist. On Wednesday, the word of the day is messy. The moon enters Libra at 9:11 a.m. Pacific time. Libra is an air sign. Air signs communicate and connect. It rules partnerships, these one-on-one relationships. High Road Libra is articulate and elegant and eloquent. There is the ability to see both sides of an issue and weigh it in balance. Now, on this day, Mars in Gemini is quincunx Pluto in Capricorn, both at 29 degrees, that last degree of crisis and decay. Mars and Pluto are both, well, Pluto's a higher octave of Mars, so they're both very piercing, challenging energies. This is, and quincunxes move us into new situations where we have to release and let go of something. So yeah, there's a lot of intensity with that energy, and then Mars switches into the sign of Cancer, carrying some of that plutonic energy at 12:46 p.m., where I wrote down, why do people suddenly stop talking and have their mouths hanging open at some point during this day? And I think so Donald Trump is having a town hall on Fox News, and on this day with this big shifting energy, and Mars is important for him because he has it on as his ascendant. He's a very martial person who's very, when he speaks, it's a lot of, conflict and agitation and accusations. And Pluto and Neptune in the sky are forming a yod to his ascendant. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Maybe it'll go just fine and I'm totally wrong. But I think, and I wrote down, I think people will be alarmed by something that he says. It will be emotionally unsettling. And I say that because on this day, the moon is conjunct the south node, which suggests that something is going down the drain with the people. And I assume a bunch of people are watching this. So we'll see how it goes. But think about the fact that Mars has just gone into Cancer, carrying this plutonic and Neptunian energy. And think about the symbology of what's going on with what's being said at that event. Also, the moon is going to be conjunct Donald Trump's Neptune. So maybe there's something confusing about what he says. Maybe it's just confusion. There's the other things I wrote down are water fights, pool fights. Yeah, Mars is conflict, Cancer, water fight, pool fights. Be careful. Notice what happens on this day that brings this Mars and Cancer to your attention. Notice if you accidentally, Mars rules accidents, you accidentally knock over a glass of water or something like that, or spill some kind of liquid, or some kind of appliance that's about water breaks down or something like that, or has an issue. On Thursday, the word of the day is SHERO. This is a goddess day where the moon will be conjunct Venus in Libra. And so this is a great day in order for you to do something pleasurable. Now, I wrote down people who never thought they would vote Democrat are considering it after the spectacle from the night before. So we'll see if this is right. This is my prediction of how this Wednesday, Thursday energy will flow. I could, as always, be wrong, but this is what I am seeing. On Friday, the word of the day is implode. The sun is sesquiquadrate Pluto. So this is a tense energy, and, Pluto can be power struggles, power dynamics, or it can be very oppressive or trying to control someone. And on this day, Mercury in Leo, now it's direct, and it's square Uranus retrograde in Taurus, both at 27 degrees. This can be like someone implodes and they're saying stuff really, really loudly. This impacts both Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's charts. So we'll see if there's some story about them. Now, it could also Uranus surprises. So there could be a blast from the past, like you get a call from an old friend. And Leo is fun, dynamic energy, and you just have a great time talking and laughing. Or your favorite song could come on the radio and you just hop up and start dancing. Or you can be at the club. And I wrote down Millie Rock. This is like some dance thing, the Millie Rock. You're dancing and you're throwing your arms in the air, I wrote down. So the moon will enter Scorpio at 10:18 p.m. Pacific time. So Mars in Cancer is reporting into this moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is intense. It's passionate. It's piercing. This can be highly sexual, but watch out for any kind of deception. If you are out, like really be mindful of your drinks if you're out with people, and especially at like a club or something like that. The waxing crescent moon is at 0 Scorpio at 10:29 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll see what happens, but just be mindful. People could be extra emotionally reactive. On Saturday, the word of the day is dissect. So the sun in Virgo opposes Saturn in Pisces. And so they're both at 16 degrees of their receptive signs. So the sun figures are leaders. The sun spotlights us on things. The sun is the one. The moon is the many in mundane astrology. And in Virgo, it could be like a spotlight on the health matters of a leader. Could be something that comes up. But we're going to be looking at something Saturnian, which can be, Saturnian things are difficult. It could be difficulty about water. It could be boundaries and restrictions on people. It could be something about a refugee crisis or something like that. Saturn and Pisces people are people who are struggling through hardship. They could be homeless or drug addicted or mentally ill. There's going to be some story that focuses us on this, and maybe the news will be dissecting something. I mean, it could have been something that happened on Friday, and the news is dissecting it. Now, you can get clarity about something, about some kind of measurement. With Virgo, we're thinking about accountability, being specific, being precise. Like you could get on the scale, and depending, it could be like, oh my God, I can't believe it's so high, or wow, I've really done well, and I've taken off some of that extra weight. Or you could get results from your doctor, like a testing, and you get clarity. Some will be thrilled. Oh my goodness, I've worked so hard to get my sugar numbers down, and it worked. Or somebody else could break into tears. Oh, and now I've got to take this medication because of, my lifestyle changes didn't work to get something under control. You can think about this where the advice to measure twice and only cut once. So some people, when the spotlight is on and Saturn rules reality, when they get a clear picture of where something really is, somebody may be proclaiming proudly about the earned success, that's Saturn, or the failure, that's also Saturn. The fantasy is over. Yeah, and I think I called it Fantasy Island because of the Mars square Neptune in Pisces. That could be, Neptune is like a fantasy kind of thing. We'll see how it shows up. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com or connect with me on Instagram. You can always DM me something with any astrology in action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.